Hello there survivors, welcome back to another build tutorial in ARK Survival Ascended. Today we're actually building a treehouse A-frame to get you ready for the center. It's a perfect base if you want to build something in the redwoods, but you could also just use this A-frame and place it somewhere on the ground obviously. As far as I know, the build should be able on official as well, but I have some additions at the end for people that do have collisions enabled to make it a little bit more special. I'll mostly be using metal and wood and greenhouse structures for this, so you should be able to build this, but of course feel free to change out some of the materials, especially the metal at the start if you don't want to spend this much yet, and you can use stone instead until you're ready to replace it with metal, for example. Another thing that I did in my build is replace the normal wood textures with the frontier skins, just because I like that look a little bit better, but obviously you can also just use normal wood. At the end of the tutorial, I'll show you around a little tour of the build as well, so you can see what I did with the interior. And if you enjoy these tutorials and you want to show even more support, of course you can just like and subscribe to the channel. You can also consider becoming a YouTube member to get actually early access to all the videos that I post. Obviously, we're going to have to start with a tree platform, and you kind of want to line them up anywhere you want to have your tree house. And alternatively, you could also place this A-frame somewhere down on the ground if you prefer that and you don't want a tree house at all. But, you know, I just wanted to do something different. Then we're going to start with the foundation. We're going to try and get as close to the tree as possible and line it up with one of those beams just to give ourselves a little place to aim for. It doesn't have to be perfect, you just want to get it relatively close, and then we can clip it into the tree afterwards. We'll extend it by 3 more, and then also 3 to the side. We'll do the same here, 3 and then 3 to the side. That is for the first main part of the A-frame here, because this is kind of how wide one of the sides is going to be. And of course we're going to repeat that and continue that pretty much all the way to the other side until we reach the point where we're almost at the edge of the platform. It should, if you line it up correctly, and you might have to change this placement to the tree. Also might depend on your tree, I guess, the shape and the width of the tree, I suppose. But you want to try and get it as close to the edge without going over on both sides. Now this is also where you can start the A-frame, and this is a good test to see if you have the right shape and enough space. So you start off by making part of the A-frame, going up with your roof pieces like so. So you should be going up by a total of 4 before you reach the tipping point, and you can start going, finishing the shape on the other side, getting your A-frame in place. And then the top line we can continue. I think you can just continue it all the way into the tree. At least I can. Again, not quite sure how that works on official, but hopefully you can just do that. And to see if we actually have the right size and space for everything, you can continue this by 2 more before we'll hit a corner. And this is actually where we'll have some glass roofs, just so that we have a nice little bit of light being able to come into the build. This one we can actually take right out, because this is where we're going to start the corner of the roof. And then this again is where you want to fill in a normal roof. And then you can make the corner here for the first A-frame. It should line up perfectly if you do it like this. And then this is where we can have our second A-frame starting like this, and that should also go up about this height. So again, it's 4 roofs high. We'll fill this in and we'll make another window here as well, and that is the kind of shape that we need to have. So now that we have this, we know that we can fill these ones in with foundations as well. So we'll just go all the way along, and this is going to be another 8 wide A-frame. So basically it's the same as we did on the other side. So we can place these down. It's a little bit easier if you place these roof pieces down, so you have a little bit of a guide, so you see where you can go, and then you know, okay, that's too much. It's kind of easier this way to know where you have to fill in the shape with some of these foundations. And obviously then We can go along here, start filling in more of this A-frame with foundations that we have, all the support inside that we need. We'll just go all the way along on the other side as well. Obviously, this line, you just want to keep it all the way going straight to the other side, going to where our A-frame is going to end up on. And we'll just fill in the entire foundation like so. So again, you should get a pretty decently sized foundation here. Here we can continue our roof for a little bit. We'll continue this all the way into the tree as well. Again, we'll have a nice little window in the roof here just because to let in a little bit more light. And then we can have this before we turn it into a corner, and then it looks something like this. Now, if you can't place the corners down because you're already at the tree, don't worry, it should only happen at the top part, but you should be able to have the normal roof still connect into it and look pretty nice from the outside. And then we can just start filling out the rest of the roof. So again, this also will be 4 high and we'll keep to the same shape as before. And we basically want to do the same here again with the window as well. And then you want to also make sure, I think I had 1 too less on this side. You want to make sure that it always sticks out 1 for where the actual foundation ends. So this is the shape of the A-frame on this side. Then on this side, of course, we're going to do the shape just to continue this whole thing. Make sure that we've got that in place, because once you've got that down, it's a lot easier to start doing the rest of it. Now here, you want to make sure that you've got 5 roof pieces in total. So both sides will do 5 in total. Basically, you can tell as soon as you see the window shape again, you are good to go. We'll fill in the window there as well, because we basically just want to allow a bunch of light into the build. And then we want to fill in this layer with roofs as well, as much as we can. And we'll leave this gap in the middle open for now. So here on the front where we started, we want to add in a gateway, metal gateway, just so that we could potentially fly in with flyers and stuff, just to be able to drop off some goodies to the inside. And we can also add in the gate just so that, you know, you can close it anytime you want as well. Then what I like to do is I like to take out the thin pillars, metal pillars, and go alongside to create some support. And then we can also have a beam going across the top of the gate so that we can build all the way around it. Now we want to take out a sloped wooden wall, flip it around so that we have the inside textures on the outside, normal wall next to it, and then another sloped wall on top of that. So we'll do the same here, creating this little corner shape. And then we want to take out our metal pillars. This time we want to use the normal one and fill it in like that. So we have the corner of our A-frame filled in already, and we'll take out some greenhouse glass walls to fill it in between, some sloped greenhouse on top to finish the A-frame shape like so. And then to add in the last little bit of detail, I like to add in a little beam across the bottom here, just a thin beam, because I think that looks kind of nice, having a little bit of the metal accent going all the way across. But of course, you can also decide to build this with stone instead of metal if you're just starting out and you want to make it a little bit cheaper. We're almost done on this side. What I like to do is add in a little bit of a slope so that you can actually walk onto this. You could add more, but here I don't have that much room left on the sides, so I would judge whether you have the space for it. But you're probably not going to do much here anyway, because there's just not a lot of room left anyway. The same with these corners. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of wasted space. I like to add in some plant with the plant pots from the DLC, just because it's a little bit easier to fill that in with some details that way. Add some greenery to your base. Okay, that's this one side almost done. We want to go on the inside though, and we want to take out a little quarter wall, flip it around, place it like so, use the alternative variation, go back to the normal variation, and then have the alternative on top again. That's just so that it all lines up with walls nicely. Then we want to place some quarter ceilings against that as well. And then we can actually repeat the same shape we did on the outside. Just as a little bit of a support. I really like the look of these. So we'll do the same thing here on the other side again. We'll start with a normal variation, then the alternative on top. Normal quarter wall, alternative on top. And then we can connect our quarter ceilings against them to get this shape in place. And it's just basically to add in a little bit of extra support here on the inside. And what you actually might also want to do is add some quarter walls right here, the alternative on top, and then you can get some secret wooden doorways, so you can still use the space behind this for some extra storage or whatever. You create a nice little wall like so. And of course we'll do that on both sides, because it's just a nice little way to have a little bit of extra storage and it still looks nice as well. Here actually we want to add in a normal wooden piece, and then you can remove this piece with a normal ceiling. That just helps this interior a little bit, because what I like to do is actually close this room off with a little bit of a shape like so, just so you can actually really divide the room into separate bits. Then if you have collisions on, what I would do is add in a little wall here, then connect it like so and connect into the other pieces. But if you do not have the overlapping, you can either leave this all out or just place a full wall in here and then obviously remove the slope bit. But that does take up a little bit more room. So yeah, if you're on official, you probably have to go for this way, because I don't think you can do overlapping. But this of course looks a little bit nicer and has a little bit nicer shape. But it's just a nice way to kind of divide this into its own separate room. And then this is the room where I would place most of the storage, your smelting stuff, and your crafting table, because you can easily fly in here with an RG. Okay, that's one of the sides done. Now here we're going to do a very similar design. We're going to start out with these corners. So they are pretty much the exact same as before. And we're going to also fill in these again. So we start out with 2 normal quarter ceilings, walls, and then the variation, then the normal one again, and then the alternative variation, just so that we can have those little supporting walls. Basically we'll have 2 quarter ceilings on each side again, so that we can snap our wall there and there, and then we'll finish this shape again with these sloped walls. Now here we probably want to do the same thing with these quarter walls, and then the alternative variations on top, and then more of these secret doorways, so that you could hide some storage behind them to fill in these little corners, and that you get the basic shape here. We'll take out our metal pillars again, place them right along these walls. If you want, you can also make them go down all the way to the bottom, just so that the lines look a little bit nicer. We can actually do that here as well on the front. And then we get to the general wall here. We'll use some greenhouse walls to fill in most of this shape, and we'll take out some double doorways here in the middle before finishing it with some sloped greenhouse walls as well, and of course filling in the doors. And as a last little detail, you can add these beams in again. I like to use these thin beams just for the little metal accent along the bottom of the design. Feel like it ties everything nicely together. Now, to turn this into a room, we're actually almost there already. We want to just add in a little wall right there. Continue that wall like so, so that we have this little shape, and then of course fill it in with the sloped pieces as well, and having some sloped pieces on the top there. And then I like just snapping in a gateway in the middle. You might have to do this first in some cases. I've heard people not being able to place them down sometimes. But yeah, it just allows you for a nice little doorway, and you should, depending on your tree, still have the room to go to all the other places. Again, if you have a wider tree like this one, it's a little bit more narrow, but at least you get some different rooms instead of having like one big shape, which is more impractical to actually try and decorate. Of course, if you don't like these inner walls, you can also leave them out. So there we go. On the third side, that's actually the easiest side. We're going to add some double doors here in the middle. Then we're just going to take out our greenhouse walls and basically fill in the rest of the shape with them, just to get a nice big window wall here. And of course, take out our sloped pieces at the end as well to fill all the remaining slots in, and adding the doors here as well. And that is pretty much it for what you need for this wall. Quite easy and simple. You could add in the little metal beam across the bottom again. You don't see it as well here, but you know, consistency is key. And then here on the inside, we actually can just add the secret doorways everywhere here on both sides. Just to get the flatter walls, which is easier with your decorations, your interior design. And then again, you might want to make a little divider here. I like to just go along this with my sloped wooden pieces, making sure they are all lined the same way, just to get that shape in again. And then you can pretty much do the same kind of design that we did on the other side of the wall. So we'll get this shape going. You can do the overlapping if you can, and otherwise just remove that sloped wall and have a full wall there instead. Just because I think this is just a nice design to kind of have a divider but still being open enough so you can easily walk around everywhere. And then we get to this part that we've left open for so long. We're actually going to extend this by 2 extra foundation pieces like so. We're going to take out our greenhouse walls, start filling in the shape like this. So we'll have 1 door left in the middle in a moment. And we'll also fill in the shape on the sides, of course, like so. And then we'll take out our sloped walls to fill in these remaining gaps of the structure like this. And then here, of course, add in the double door. Add in the actual door as well. Now here you can actually add the pillars to the corner of the build, just as a nice little line. And again, we can add in the metal thin beam if you want to along the sides. And what we can actually also do is add in a slope again. You can go all the way or just in front, or some stairs, whatever you prefer. And if you didn't do it everywhere yet, I think I might have forgotten it at some places. Yeah, here. You might want to add them in. Sometimes I like to add them between the pillars if it doesn't stick out from the platform. And then, yeah, here probably only at the doors, just because otherwise it will stick out too much. Then we're going to take out a quarter metal ceiling, and we're going to make a little edge along the walls that we've just placed down, just following the entire shape around. There we go. Until we reach the other side, and take out some greenhouse ceilings to fill in the remainder of this shape, just so that we have a nice glass roof and get in some extra light on this side. And then what I like to do as an extra little bit of detail is taking out a sloped metal wall, going down like this and connecting it up like so, just to have a little bit more of an interesting shape to this this little extension of our build, basically. And do that on both sides, obviously. And then here on the inside, you actually want to make sure that you fill in this remaining gap as well, so you don't see that. And the same here on the other side. And then you basically have the entire thing built. Now, because it's a tree platform, what I like to do is go around the entire platform with some railings, just to make it a little bit safer. Of course, there's also a bunch of decoration you can do. We'll have a little tour in a little bit. There's a couple of things that you can do to improve this build, especially if you're not on official, because then there's just some things that you can do to make it look nicer. First off, you can get a clear glass wall mod to change these textures to clear glass. They just look a little bit nicer. I think there's also custom cosmetics for it, so you could do this on official. I don't know if they work for these sloped walls. For this mod, at least, it doesn't do them. But what I do instead is change them to metal. So we'll lose a little bit of the windows. But here you can add in a little bit design, because if you have overlapping enabled, you can actually get away with that. So obviously you won't be able to do that on official, but if you're not, it's a nice way to add a little bit more details and yeah, extra shapes to your build. So we'll do the same here. We'll just create these little beams, basically, little extra shape. And then of course you could change all the textures to the clear glass walls if you have them. And if you're using mods, you can of course use other glass as well. You can have them here as well on this side, especially on this side. They look really, really nice. Just a little bit more shape to the whole build. And then one of the best places to also do it is right over here. So we'll have a nice little metal beam going instead of the glass here. And we can do that on both sides. It's just a nice little detail. See, I flipped this the other way around than that one. But you get the idea. It's just a few little things that you can do to make it look even nicer. Okay, so this is the finished version that I did myself. So you can see I've got the clear glass wall mod. I've got some plant pots here. That is from the DLC. You got this side here as well. We've got a bunch of plants here, even a small tree. Sometimes if you want to place the trees down, you have to first make sure that there is no railings. You can place it. You can then change the size to make it a little bit smaller. That's what I did to make it fit here on the platform. But it's nice to add in a little bit of greenery, and you can see the feeding troughs, some forgers here on the outside, and then of course the way in. So this is where you would come in with flyers. You've got some forgers here, smithy, a bunch of storage, your feeding trough for if you park some dinos inside, cryo fridge on the side, and then in this little square edition we got a little fabricator, a poker table, why not, a generator, some lights as well. Then in this side we have a nice little fireplace, place to chill, hang out, or just a table, the mortar and pestle. We got some decoration, piano, little fridge going on, map over there as well. We've got water accessibility as well here in the hallway. You can see this tree is less wide, and we have a little bit more space all around it. So yeah, it also depends on what tree you pick, the exact result you're gonna get. But yeah, you can see this little room I turned into my bedroom. Got some beds here, spawning points. This is from the hair mod. Yeah, nice little decoration. Then the balconies aren't that big. You have limited room, but I mean, it's definitely a nice little base to get started with, I would say. As soon as you've got a flyer, obviously, because you'll need that, you can have a pretty nice and safe base in the redwoods if you're brave enough. But again, as I said before, you could also just place this A-frame down on the ground and build it anywhere you want. And with that being said, that is going to be it for this tutorial. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.